The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Class is now in session once again for all you great college football fans out there today. And I just want to jump in here real quick today to talk about something I heard, a little rumbling, that may sound a little out there, far-reaching. But it's out there, and that is the Big 12 may be trying to cause some dissension within the Big Ten as far as their Western members are concerned. Seems as though the Big 12 has reached out and talked to Minnesota, and also is considering talking not only to Minnesota, but Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska to bring them into the fold in the Big 12. They've got an interesting proposition and reasoning for that. Let's talk about it. How's it going out there today, boys and girls in sporting land? This is another episode of the OCF. That's me, JPC. That stands for the Outlaw College Football, and Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook. And I also have a Twitter account that is at OCF Productions. At OCF Productions. Now, before I get into our topic, I'd like to try something. A little random thought of the day. That's what I'm going to start doing. My random thought of the day is, have you ever just wanted to maybe turn a decent pop song or country song maybe into a heavy metal song, or vice versa? Have you ever wanted to try to take a rock song or a rap song, turn it into a country song? I used to do that when I used to work at a certain company a while back, and my coworkers used to think it was hilarious. The one they really liked for me to do was Easy Like a Sunday Morning. I turned it from a moderately soft rock song into a heavy metal song. And it went a little something like this. Easy, easy like a Sunday morning. Easy, 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 easy like a Sunday morning. Easy like a Sunday morning. Anyway, that's just my random thought of the day. You guys and gals, tell me what your random thought of the day is. Now, getting right to it, seems like the Big 12 is trying to cause some dissension. Maybe this Brett Yormack guy is a guy that thinks out of the box big time. Maybe this guy is really swinging for the fences. Not only does he want to try to be the third best conference behind the Big Ten and the SEC, but maybe he's shooting to become even more than that if he could pull off this little deal. It first started with them talking to Minnesota. Now there's rumors they're talking to Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska. Because the Nebraska fans, Nebraska's had a rich tradition in college football. But ever since they joined the Big Ten, a lot of the Nebraska people that I know and sources have been telling me that they're not really happy with the Big Ten, that they miss their days in the Big 12 and what used to be the Big 8 back in the day when it was just them and Oklahoma running the show, before they added what a lot of people call the cancer called Texas. But I don't call them that because, well, I got friends that are Texas fans, so I don't want to hurt them too much, hurt their feelings, But if they were to do this, if they were to get even two of these teams to join, that would be earth-shattering. And the reasoning behind it and how they're trying to sell it, because they don't really have the money to compete with the Big Ten, but how they're selling it is, just like with Nebraska, come over here, you'll be more appreciated, number one. Number two, the Western teams of the Big Ten are going to have to bear the brunt of Kevin Warren's little expedition out west. The logistic nightmare that I call adding USC and UCLA to the mix. Now, it would not be a logistics nightmare if the Big Ten were not so staunch about trying to not show their hand all the time and not being transparent. And they went ahead and added like 4 more of those Pac-12 teams, or 4 more teams out west somewhere. It could be anybody. It could go out and get Boise State, hell, or BYU. You could reverse the tables and steal BYU from the Big 12 or some shit. But they need to go get 4 teams from the West, because if you don't, it's going to make a logistics nightmare for the Western teams who are the closest to the West Coast. That's Brett Yormack's big argument. Like, hey, Kevin Warren did not really take y'all into account when he went on this venture. That's the rumor. That Kevin Warren just done this with only Ohio State and Michigan in mind, who didn't mind because, guess what? Ohio State and Michigan's going to be in the Eastern bracket, and they're not going to have to deal with going out west to USC and UCLA as much as a Wisconsin or a Minnesota or a Nebraska or an Iowa would. So that's his selling point. And it's a really good selling point if you think about it, because those teams would probably actually be happier in the Big 12, because especially for Nebraska, number one, it would be really nostalgic and make things a lot easier for Nebraska. I think it would also help Nebraska and the other 3 as far as recruiting. They could concentrate more on the Texas area like Nebraska used to do back in the day. Whereas if they have to do a lot of traveling out west and traveling all the way back to the east as well, because you got Rutgers way over there on the East Coast, it's just a real big logistics nightmare in my opinion. And Kevin Warren seems like he's an intelligent guy. He might be a bit of a jerk when it comes to politics, but he's got to know that this is not going to be fair to the Western teams on the side of the Big Ten. And now it's being pointed out. So what I think is going to happen is if Kevin Warren doesn't go out and add some more Western teams to maybe take some of that burden off the Western side of the Big Ten, they may actually consider doing this. And man, would that be a coup for the Big 12. You talking about saving the Big 12. That would put the Big 12 squarely in the middle of the United States in markets that nobody else could really touch at that point. I mean, they're not huge markets, but the state of Minnesota does have St. Paul, Minneapolis, and all those cities. And they'd also still have the markets in Florida, which the Big Ten doesn't have, and West Virginia and Cincinnati right there in the middle of the Big Ten country. So not only would it help solidify the Big 12 and Brett Yormack and what they're trying to do in becoming the 3rd best Power 5 conference, it might move them into that 2nd spot right behind the SEC. Who knows? If they keep expanding themselves, the Big 12, who knows? They could be considered the best conference one day. Now that's a bit far-reaching, but all I can say is that what Brett Yormack is doing so far is really great outside the box thinking, and I respect that. You guys and gals, tell me what you think about this whole situation. Do you think it's valid? Do you think that it's just a pie in the sky? Do you think that if it does happen, that it's going to cause a lot of ruffled feathers? Drop in the comment section. Let me know what you think. With that, I'm going to get off here. If you don't mind, look up underneath here. There's a heart option underneath here. It says thanks. Hit that thanks button. Drop a few dollars in the coffers. And that way I don't have to suck up to YouTube as much. As always, KMCA to all the other teams, and class is now dismissed.